Hello everybody. In this video I'm just going to briefly overview the structure and some of the content in the syllabus, and I'll just get right to it. There's going to be an instructor section, course description section. I'll skip some of these other ones. There's a course outline section, and the textbook itself. I will go a little bit into the grading, obviously, and then down below there's the section for course policies, and then finally the class calendar. There's other sections below here that you should probably just get into and read about them, because they're all actually important. It is your syllabus. You need to review it carefully and thoroughly. Let me go back up. As you can see, this is a 4-unit class, which basically means 12 to 15 hours per week over a 16-week semester. So the class is designed according to that setup, to that amount of work. It includes both reading, homework, and testing for the most part. The section number for this class, as you already probably know, is 53616. Here's my contact information. As you can see, here's my West Valley Mission email, and here's my Foothill. I actually am a full-time instructor at Foothill, and I help Mission with some classes every once in a while. So you can use either, but as I'll say later, you're probably better off, and I would probably be expecting that you only use inbox, which is right here on the left side. I get a lot of other type of email, including junk mail, inside of my other accounts, and so it's messy and it's difficult to keep track of conversations with my students. So I always urge everybody to use the systems, the course systems, messaging system. In this case, it's here in inbox. So please do that. Don't email me unless you cannot log into Canvas. But other than that, you should use inbox. There are 2 required meetings for this class, even though this is an online class. There's an orientation over at the Gilmore Center on the Mission Campus, room 303, on Saturday. What is it? January 28th, which is tomorrow, actually, between 10 and 12 noon. There's a final exam. This one we cannot change. It will be Saturday, May 20th, 10 to 12 noon, same classroom, GC, Gilmore Center 303. Course description, as you already know, you need at the very bare minimum accounting 1A, preferably, and actually, I would probably put it as a prerequisite. You would need accounting 58A, and there are some sections of accounting 1B that also would be very helpful for, especially accounting 58B, actually, and that is the equity section, the cash flow section, the financial statement analysis section of accounting 1B. So you should probably go back and review some of that material before you start the class. In terms of the accounting 1A, we assume that you have a solid, absolutely solid understanding of the accounting cycle, including journal entries. The course outline includes the following: chapters 14 through chapters 22, or chapter 22 here. And so as you can see here are the topics, the general topics. And also in here I include sort of which exams include what material. And at the end, as you'll see, there's also a final. So midterm 1, 2 and 3, they cover 2 chapters each. The final exam covers the last 3 chapters in terms of theory. So it actually, well, it covers every chapter in terms of theory, and it covers the last 3 chapters, the last 4 chapters, the last 3 chapters with respect to problems. We're using Canvas, as you know already, plus actually not Wiley, plus I have to change this. Actually, it should be my accounting lab, my lab. I'll change that in a second. And so Canvas, you're already on it, so you need to sort of get very familiar with it. There's another video that I created with some info on how we set up Canvas for this class. There's also, at times some people can access this Canvas site from outside of Mission, so directly you can use this link here to do that. You can actually disregard the Appendix A. It's not really needed. I'm going through it at the moment. Let's see what else. If you need help with Canvas, you can click on this link and it will get you to that place to get some help. Second and very important tool is my accounting lab, or my lab, or MAL. And here, this is where what we use for homework, for quizzes, for exams, and they have other tools that you will need most likely to learn the material. So I would, very strongly encourage you to explore my lab if you haven't been on it already, and see what's there, so that you can actually decide which tools you want to use for yourself. There will be another brief video discussing my own setup of my lab for this class. The textbook, most of you already have it, since you took my class in the fall for Accounting 1 58A, and I think this is wrong. It should be 14, so I'm going to go change it. And so you already have the book, but if you don't, it's in the bookstore at Mission, both online and physically at the bookstore. You'll be able to find this textbook that again comes bundled with my accounting lab, and you might as well just buy that version in the bookstore, and you're done with it. You know that that's the right book and the right version of that book. There are other options just in case there's some variations to people's situations, and so you can actually buy access to my lab and an e-text without the printed textbook. That's what I call option B, and that costs $145. So it's a little less than the one at the bookstore, but there's no printed text. And then there's another version of this where you only get access to my accounting lab, assumingly you've got the book someplace else, either for less or from a friend or whatnot. But you still need my lab, and in that case you will be paying about $80. Now you can get these options as you register for my accounting lab once you are in Canvas on Monday. There are some information here. There's some information here regarding how to register through this site. And again, at this point, you don't have to worry so much about this. I'm going to have another video that shows you that. And by the way, this is a screen that you will see as you register, where you have those options. If you already have the access code from the bookstore at Mission, you just click on access code once you create an account, if you don't have one yet, and you'll be done. If you need to buy the other version that I just said, option B, you will go through this other button, and then if you want option C, it will be right there. All right. Please read these other things that are really quite important, so make sure that you understand that. There's another point that I want to make sure that you all understand. Obviously, I use my weekends for a lot of grading and prepping, and obviously, I do have a little bit of a social life, and so the work week for us is the normal work weeks, which is Monday through Friday, with a Friday at noon cutoff. So questions that you might want to ask me, you should probably do so by before Friday at noon. The earlier in the week, the better, because that way it gives me a chance to respond in a timely manner. Otherwise, you may not get a response until the following week, and that is not good for you. So please do front load your work and your questions, both in the discussion forums inside the modules or in private messages within inbox. That would be ideal if you do that early in the week. Let's see. Let's keep going. This discusses a few of the in more detail some of the assignments for the class. But here's what you really most of you want to know about. There is a certain percentage, 10 percentage points, 5 points for attendance and 5 points for participation, that relate to actually logging into the class. And as you'll see later, 3 logins per week. One on Monday would be this grade here, 5% of your grade, and then actually posting at least one posting in each module discussion for each chapter each week would be the second part to this, the 5 points for class participation. I call that CP postings. So at the end of the semester, I will add them up, and I will, obviously keep you on track, and at the end of the day, hopefully you have at least 45 logins, 3 per week, and 15 postings, one per week, so you can earn 100% of this very easy 10% of your grade. This orientation and check-in task, that's part of your module 0, so that has no grading at all. There are 9 chapters, so each chapter has a reading check, which is basically a quiz, and very simple quiz, a few questions, 10 to 20 simple questions, and depending on how you perform, you will get 100% of each of those quizzes. 100% times 1 point each will earn you that 1 point for each quiz, so there will be 9 points in total. 9% of the class are these very simple reading checks by the deadline. There are homework assignments. This is a little more substantial in terms of work. They have anywhere from 5, 6, 7 problems up to maybe at times up to 15 problems or so. As you'll see later, I'll respond this to in a different place, but basically there will be at least 100 points required minimum for you to earn overall points for that homework. So each homework is 3 percentage points. So if you, in terms of raw points in each assignment inside of math, when you're taking homework, there may be a maximum points of, let's say, 150. I assign like 10 points per homework problem, and about 20 points for the actual problems, and 5 points for the brief exercises. Different levels of work for each. But if you just score 100 out of those 150, you will get all full credit for that homework. I call that base. The base points are usually lower than the max points. We can talk more about it in a different place, but for now, just realize that you can also drop 2. So you can drop 2 of those 9 homeworks, 1 per chapter, right? And so only 7 count. So 7 times 3, that's 21% of your grade. There are 3 midterm exams, each is 10 points, so 30% of your grade is from your midterm exams, and the final is 30%. Here's the standard scale, you know this already, so I will leave it at that. The only thing I will actually mention here is that with all the flexibility and all the additional points and all the base points, if you're still at 89.9, that's still a B. So don't miss on some parts. So don't just disregard the easy points, because that's what is going to get you to the next grade level. So at the end of the quarter or the end of the semester, when you're that close to the next grade level, if you have that situation, you're probably going to end up at 89.9, meaning a B. The only way to jump you to the next grade level without having earned it straight out is if your exams show that you deserve that next level of grade. So again, if you have an 89.9 and that's a B in this scale, in your midterm exams, especially if your final says you are at 95, then definitely there's no problem for me saying, oh, this person deserves an A, and so I could change it. So I have to have evidence that I can refer to support that change of grade if you have not earned it straight out. In terms of policies, there are a few here that you need to go over and make sure that you do actually go over each of these items here. They are all important, but one of the most important ones that I want to mention here is the drops. Okay, so there's some, like I said, some drop scores, some low drop scores that you can actually I will automatically do that myself. Now, keep in mind that you should use those strategically, meaning that don't just drop them because one weekend you don't want to do any work. You really need to save these drops for times when you're really sick or have some technical issues with my accounting lab, with the browser, you have to travel, any other reasons. There's a whole bunch of reasons all the time, and this will give you a way to be flexible. There's no late assignments, remember that. Let's see, dropping the class also is another very big item here. If you drop the class within a certain number of weeks, I think it's by the second week of the semester, you don't get any indication that you have ever taken the class on your transcripts. But if you go beyond that, there will be at least a W, and that remains in effect until week number 12, I think. Again, you have to check that on your own, and at that point you can still withdraw. But beyond week 12 or that portion of the semester, I cannot drop you no matter what, and you cannot drop yourself either. So you're stuck with whatever grade you have at that point. So make sure you understand these things and drop yourselves officially in your portal account. And this is your responsibility. Please don't forget. There are some tutoring services apparently, so you can actually go ask if there is some help there for accounting. There's also something called Smart Thinking, which I think might be part of my accounting lab. I have to check, and that will give you another resource for getting help. There's other things you need to talk about. Review here: computer requirements. The Training Center that has some resources as well, tech support, and other student services here. In terms of the class calendar, you will see that it's set up by week. And so week 1, with a starting Monday date of January 30th. That's how I set up the calendar. By the way, I can actually view it here directly, or I can just click on this link and view it outside of that so I can have a better view. So I'm going to do that right now. And so this gives you all you need to know in terms of the actual assignments and the due dates for each of these. And the class calendar controls all the due dates. The due dates on the in Mala or in Canvas might be a little different for different reasons, and I sometimes I do change those dates to have a bigger window so you can access the actual test itself or the assignment itself in Mal. But the actual due date is controlled by the class calendar. That's what you need to look at. And by the way, I will actually send an agenda at the beginning of each week with the same information, so that just as a reminder to the whole class. So always read the announcements. As you can see also here, using chapter 14 as my example for week 1, we begin chapter 14. Aside from the orientation module 0, you have to start working on chapter 14, which includes reading check or quiz 14 in my accounting lab. And that is due on the first Sunday by 11:59 p.m. Notice that everything is due by that time on the day that is indicated. So for this RC 14 or quiz 14 in Mao, it is due by 11:59 p.m. On that Sunday. Then chapter 14's homework assignment, which includes brief exercise 7, 11, 13, 39, 39, and so on, exercises 14, 2, 3, 4, and so on. All these exercises are all both reviewed in the modules statically, and you'll see what that means in a different place. And the actual MAL will feed you these assigned homework items will be the same as the ones in the module, but with different numbers. So you get to actually choose, or you get to review them first, and you actually get to solve them in MAL as part of your homework. And that is also due on a Sunday. In this case, the following Sunday, and then it will be due at 11:59 of that in that case. Here I give you sort of a reminder that you have to log in 3 times a week, once on Monday, and also I remind you about the CP posting. And this is the way that actually I set up every week. And so make sure that you keep track of this and remind yourselves every week as to what's going on. I'll do that myself in terms of using my weekly agendas announcements, but I think it was up to you to really keep track of this on your own. Don't get lost, because at times, especially online, people seem to get lost. So let me go back to the syllabus and just show you that there's a midterm exam number 1 will be at the end of week 4. Week 8 is midterm number 2. Week 12 is midterm 3, and then final exam will be at the end, and that is in class. If I keep going down this way, again, I have other notes that you need to really remember throughout the semester, and there's also something else that relates to academic integrity and other things you need to hopefully read. And that is it for now. Hopefully you will enjoy the class. There's a lot of work, but it's one of the most interesting classes, I think, for accounting majors especially. Enjoy.